Geometry Dash is dying, you guys.
Oh my god.
Someone call Child Protective Services, for the love of God. Fucking shit, you guys.
It's the end of the world.
You've probably heard people say this. Oh, Geometry Dash is dying. People have been saying this ever since 2.0 was announced and continuously delayed. Obviously, the game is still very much alive, so why do people keep saying it? Is this time different? In order to answer that, let's dive into some history. We're all familiar with the long, arduous waits between updates, having to deal with an increasingly toxic community and less effort being put into levels as the update progresses. But it wasn't always like this. Veteran players will recall that Geometry Dash updates used to be spaced apart by a few months at most, before the 1.9 era. Nowadays though, updates take over a year to release, starting with 2.0. Every time we near the midpoint for each update, the community starts getting impatient and claims that the game is dying begin to surface. But I don't think that is necessarily warranted. As you probably know, 2.0 was a massive success. The update was huge.
It's a huge problem. A huge problem.
And revolutionized the game forever. So people generally considered the wait well worth it. However, 2.1 wasn't as successful, and some people were disappointed with it, but people are still playing, and the game isn't showing any signs of stopping further development, so there will always be hype for new updates. You can kind of compare it to Minecraft. Sometimes I wonder if they added fidget spinners to the game yet, so I check on the community for updates. I remember there being an update not too long ago that was very poorly received, but the game is still alive and well, and still being ported to every console imaginable in 4K. Ultimately, what makes Minecraft really shine is the user-created content. And the same goes for Geometry Dash. I think we should look at this aspect, the community and its contributions to the game, because I think that is much more likely to kill the game in the long run.
I did not have sexual relations with that
dog.
When you look at it this way, it's easy to point out all the people that have quit recently. Combined, Whooshy, Manix, Riot, and Andromeda all quit playing the game with no intention of coming back, for a variety of reasons. Some people might think that this is a sign that the end is nigh, but we've seen people coming and going for a long time now, and we've also seen people who allegedly quit come back again. Some people who quit are Darnock, Wreckage, and Daddy Pro. They were pretty iconic creators for their time, but now there's people like Laserblitz, Darwin, and Abstract Dark, who are all relatively new. In a community as large as this one, there will always be people to replace those who do quit permanently, it seems. However, I think that fact is changing more and more with each passing update. You see, as time goes on, levels have become harder and harder, and it becomes much more difficult for new players to join the ranks of the top players. That, coupled with the fact that 144 Hz is basically a necessity to beat the top demons, makes it near unattainable. You'd have to put in hours and hours of practice, slowly working your way up, beating more and more difficult demons, until you eventually manage to get some attention for your skill. If you beat Cataclysm nowadays, nobody will care, because hundreds have done it before you. Same goes for Bloodbath. Unless you add some commentary like Eric van Wilderman, who has recently become a very skilled player. You will go unnoticed almost your entire journey up the ranks. The same can be said for creators. Up until 1.9, the level editor was largely self-explanatory, and after fiddling with it for a bit, you'd have the basic understanding of how it works. Levels usually didn't go over the object limit of just 15,000. I know, crazy, right? And the design was usually pretty simple. That's not to say creating a good level was easy, but the bar was set lower back then. Since the release of 2.0, levels have gotten better and better and a lot more complicated. Move triggers, alpha triggers, infinite colors, oh my. The object limit was doubled, but as time went on, more and more people hacked to bypass the limit to make even more intricate levels. A new creator nowadays has to learn a lot more before he can start creating good levels, which could turn off some people. So what does this mean for the future of Geometry Dash though? Well, I'm going to be honest here, but I think Geometry Dash is going to die at some point in the future. However, I don't think that will happen for some time yet. I think the player base is slowly going to decline over time, with a resurgence of players each time an update is released. However, as time goes on, the game will be harder and harder to get into for new players, until most good players and creators have left and Lemons reigns supreme on his own. Now, like I said, this won't happen quite yet. It could go anywhere from 1 to even 5 years, or maybe even longer than that. What I can say with certainty though, is that people will get tired and stop playing eventually, and there will be a point where the servers will be shut down. After all, no game lives forever. Everything must die at some point. Either that, or I could be totally wrong, who knows. Either way, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments. I make sure to read every single one of them, so try not to make a fool of yourself. And if you liked the video, make sure to leave a like on it and consider subscribing for more.